Corruption and stupidity. Corruption and stupidity. That's what we're talking about tonight, folks, here at Minnesota Gun Rights. Guys, I'm Ben Dorr. I'm the Executive Director of Minnesota Gun Rights. I'm going to kill my volume right here. Let me know where you're watching from. Strap in for a video, guys. Strap in for a video. I'm going to get this stuff all launched on my end real quick. We're going to kick this right off. Let me know where you're watching from. Thank you for joining me. It's getting dark already. It's pretty ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it's fall. So look forward to the snow this weekend. I'm sure nobody else is, but I am. All right, guys, I'm going to kick this right off. The news is breaking all over the place, and it brings me no pleasure to shoot this video. But what I do know is that our state is in really, really big trouble, and that a major problem we have is that gun owners oftentimes don't know who's a friend and who's a foe, who's fighting for us, who's fighting against us, because this state is loaded down, and I mean loaded down, with people who pretend to be pro-gun organizations, politicians, PACs, all kinds of people pretending to be pro-gun, actively working against the cause of gun rights. And we as gun owners need to know the truth. We need to know who's on our side and who is just pretending. And there is a lot of information coming to light today that I need to share with you. But first, I'm going to read off a few names. Let me know where you're watching from. We have Bill. We have Bobby watching. We have Ben. How you doing, Ben? You have the best name in the world. We have Bob checking in. We have Wayne and Woodbury. Becky, how you doing, Becky? We have Brian. Scott is watching. Bonnie is checking in from Hanley Falls. Always good to see you. We have Ryan checking in from Ohio. Robert, Shelley Anderson. Steve and Liz Melger. Tremendous patriots. Great people. It was fantastic to meet you guys at Almond Shooters Roundup this year. Guys, you're all in here. This is fantastic. So we're going to get going here. We're talking about the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. We're talking about the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. And to those who may be new to this channel, I know we've had a lot of new people watching lately, a lot of new names being added here. We're talking about a gun rights organization. We're talking about a so-called pro-gun organization who has a long, long history of stabbing gun owners in the back, of endorsing anti-gun lawmakers. I'm talking radical anti-gun Democrats. These people at the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus have endorsed. We're talking about Bryan Strawser, who's the chairman. A lot of gun owners call him Fester. Through no fault of their own, he's earned it. And we have Lazy Rob Dorr, whose name is not spelled the same. Is spelled all wrong. No relation whatsoever. One look and you know there's no relation there whatsoever. But we're talking about these two jokers who run the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. And again, we've done a lot of videos about this throughout the last couple of years, detailing their litany of betrayals of gun owners. And today we're talking about something particularly egregious. Now, I've never blown smoke up gun owners' backsides before. I've never told you guys lies. We've never made up garbage that, well, sounded really good. What we tell you can be verified. Is truth. And this here, it's nothing from Ben Dorr. I did not write this. I did not lead this up. This here is straight from the state of Minnesota Campaign Finance and Public Disclosure Board, who has opened an investigation into the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, in particular their PAC, the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC. And we're going to read this here in a few minutes. But I need to stress this. This is very important. And what's important to note is that, as we all know, Republicans in Minnesota, Kurt Doubt, Paul Gazelka, many more are not pro-gun lawmakers. Scott Jensen, a Republican, endorsed by the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC, who we're talking about. Scott Jensen sponsored Michael Bloomberg's universal gun registration bill. Okay? Senator Rod Skoe, a Democrat who the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC endorsed, voted against constitutional carry. Senator Paul Anderson, another Republican, voted and co-sponsored universal gun registration. We have a whole bunch of Republicans in Minnesota who are standing there looking gun owners in the eye and saying, I'm pro-gun. I'm a constitutionalist. I love our Second Amendment rights. And they're getting into office in St. Paul. They're sitting down in their fluffy little seats, and they're voting against our Second Amendment rights. Many of these people are endorsed by the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. They are protected by the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. And so that is why we have to talk about this. There's no turf war. There's no vying to be the biggest and the baddest. Our gun rights are on the line. And their betrayal of gun owners, their endorsements of anti-gun lawmakers, are tanking the gun rights movement in Minnesota, because we have a whole bunch of Republicans now who feel that it's safe to support gun control. It's safe to support gun control because, hey, we have the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus who's going to protect us. And that's what we're talking about right here. That's why we're talking about this right here. So I'm going to read this for you guys. I'm going to read this. We detailed this before. I'm going to give it one more quick preface. We did a video some time ago detailing about how the Minnesota, the Gun Owners Political Action Committee, that's their PAC, how their PAC has been funneling money, all right? The PAC that Bryan Strawser is in charge of is funneling and has in the past. It's all online. You can look it all up. I'm not making anything up here. It's all verifiable. But the PAC that Bryan Strawser runs, that gun owners donate to, at least some, that PAC has been funneling money into an LLC called BrightPath for consulting. Well, BrightPath LLC is chaired and CEO'd, if that's a word, by Bryan Strawser. So the PAC that Bryan Strawser controls funnels money into the business that Bryan Strawser owns. Okay? To the tune of thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So we're going to read this here, and this is all, it all ties in, but there is corruption happening in Minnesota. Bad things are happening, and unless these people are brought to light, unless these betrayals are laid out for gun owners to understand and to know, well, our gun rights are going to continue getting flushed down the toilet because people don't know who's a friend and who's a foe. Because, hey, they're a gun rights group, right? How bad can they be? All right, we're going to read this. This is from the State of Minnesota Campaign Finance and Public Disclosure Board. Actually, last thing, before I start off with that, I'm going to pin this, pin the link to this, to what I'm reading right here. So you can read it yourself if you like. You can print it off. You can, send it wherever you like. But I'm going to pin this here for you. Give me 1 second. I'm going to copy. We're going to paste this right here. We're going to pin this. There you go, guys. So you got it right there. I'm going to put it right here on the in the watch party. So at any point you can, because I'm going to be stopping and talking about this a little bit. But at any point you can print this off, come back and get this, read this here on your own. Here it goes. Here it goes. In the matter of the Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee, the Minnesota Gun Owners IE Fund, and the Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund. The Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee, or MNGOPAC, is a political fund. The Minnesota Gun Owners IE Fund is an independent expenditure political fund. The supporting association of both political funds is the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, a 501c4 organization. The Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund is an affiliated 501c3 charity. The organizations share the same officers, all right? It says, prior to July 2019, the most recent periodic reports of receipts and expenditures filed by the Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee, we'll just call it the PAC from now on, covered the year 2016. Political funds are not required to file periodic reports if there has been no financial activity since the end of the period covered by the most recent report. However, reports filed by other entities registered with the board indicated that the PAC gave contributions and made at least one expenditure necessitating the filing of reports covering 2017 and 2018. Sorry, a little tongue twister right there. A report filed by a political party unit also indicated that the Minnesota Gun Owners IE Fund may have given a prohibited contribution to that party unit in 2018. The executive director opened a staff review regarding those matters in February of 2019. Despite multiple communications from board staff, the PAC failed to provide any responses until May of 2019. By the time a response was received, the board had ordered a formal investigation of the matter pursuant to the Minnesota Statute Section 10A.022, Subdivision 3D, and Minnesota Rules 4525.0340, Subpart 2. In a letter dated May 1, 2019, the treasurer of both the PAC and the IE Fund, Bryan Strawser, stated that the IE Fund did not have any financial activity in 2017 or 2018. The letter explained that a payment of $900, which a political party unit reported to be a contribution from the IE Fund, was actually a payment made by the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus for services rendered to the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus by that party unit. The party unit confirmed that explanation and later filed an amended report to correct the reporting error. In a separate letter dated May 1st, 2019, Mr. Strawser acknowledged that the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC was required to file periodic reports covering 2017 and 2018 and stated that he would do so by May 10th, 2019. So Bryan Strawser has gone 2 or 3 years without filing with the Campaign Finance and Public Disclosure Board. And let me tell you, these people are ruthless in the way they track you down. If you don't send in the filings, they will pound you with letters all the time until you get your paperwork done. So this guy's getting letters monthly for like 2.5 years telling him to file his paperwork. But here we go. It says, so he was required to file periodic reports, and that he stated he would do so by May 10th, 2019. Because the reports were not received and Mr. Strawser failed to respond to subsequent communications from board staff, the executive director issued an administrative subpoena on June 13, 2019, compelling the filing of periodic reports covering 2017 and 2018. The administrative subpoena was served upon Mr. Strawser on June 24, 2019. So they reached out to Bryan Strawser and said, you need to file. You're 2 years behind. He said, I'll file. I'll get all this paperwork into you by May 10th, 2019. And not only did he not send the paperwork in, but when they reached out to him again, he didn't respond. Okay. So the Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee's 2017 year-end report was filed electronically on July 1st, 2019, and 6 reports covering 2018 were filed electronically on July 8, 2019. The PAC has incurred the maximum late filing fee of $1,000 for each of the 7 reports, for a total of $7,000. The reports disclosed $11,496 in receipts and $11,440 in disbursements in 2017, and $18,347 in receipts and $15,265 in disbursements in 2018. Minnesota Gun Owners PAC's 2017 year-end report is in conflict with the 2017 year-end report filed by a party unit, as it failed to disclose a $500 cash contribution given by the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC to that party unit. And the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC has not provided an explanation for that discrepancy. So I'm just going to pause here for a minute, guys. These are the same people. These are the same people who stand up there in St. Paul and protect Paul Gazelka. They protect politicians. They endorse anti-gun lawmakers. And as we saw, and I'll link the other video when we're done here, because I don't want to go over the entire thing. I don't want to bore you to tears. But in their previous filings, when they actually did do the filings for their PAC, it showed that tremendous amounts of money was going to their own company, like a vast majority, way more than they gave to pro-gun candidates, and that's what PACs are supposed to do. They were paying out to themselves. And so now we don't even know where the money's going. We're going to keep going through this. The party unit has provided a copy of a $500 check it received from the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC, which contains Minnesota Gun Owners PAC board registration number and is signed by its deputy treasurer. The reports filed by the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC also disclosed the PAC's receipt of cash contributions of $500 in 2013, $500 in 2017, and $300 in 2018 by the MNGOSF, an association that is not registered with the board. We're just about to the analysis, folks. Upon receipt of a contribution in excess of $200 from an unregistered association, a political fund is required to obtain a financial disclosure statement from the contributor and then provide that statement to the board when filing the report that first discloses the contribution, or return the contribution within 90 days of deposit. The unregistered association has a corresponding duty to provide a disclosure statement to the recipient when giving a contribution in excess of $200. Because disclosure statements for the MNGOSF were not received by the board and there was no indication that the contributions had been returned within 90 days, the executive director opened a second staff review in August of 2019. Everybody knows this. This is how the paperwork filing works. Mr. Strawser provided disclosure statements for the MNGOSF on August 28, 2019. The disclosure statements were dated as having been completed in December of 2017 and December of 2018, respectively. However, the statements consisted of a form utilized by unregistered associations that give contributions to independent expenditure political committees or funds. The disclosure requirements applicable to an unregistered association that gives a contribution to an independent expenditure, political committee, or fund are different from those applicable to an unregistered association that gives a contribution to a traditional political committee or fund. Long-winded people, I know. Just about done here. Mr. Strawser was informed by board staff that the contribution to a traditional political committee or fund, Mr. Strawser was informed by board staff that the disclosure statements he provided were deficient. The board has not received adequate disclosure statements for MNGOSF, and Mr. Strawser has not given any indication that those statements will be forthcoming. So here's the analysis from this report. Bob says, so they're acting like the NRA, pretty much. Pretty much. Let's see here. Minnesota Statute Section 10A.20 subdivision 2 generally requires political funds to file a year-end report of receipts and expenditures covering each calendar year and 5 additional reports during a general election year. Minnesota Statute Section blah, blah, blah contains an exception for political funds to the extent that no incoming contributions have been accepted and no expenditures have been made since the end of the period covered by the political fund's most recent report. The reports filed by the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC reflect that it received contributions or made expenditures in 2017 and each reporting period in 2018. Thus, it was required to file a total of 7 reports of receipts that were not provided by the board until July of 2019. Minnesota Statute Section 10A.2 subdivision 12 provides that the board may impose late fees of up to $1,000 per report. So I just have a quick question. So apparently Bryan Strawser is the chairman of the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus and the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC. And he's paid himself, as we've seen in previous filings, he's paying himself very handsomely to be a consultant for the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC. I mean, everybody knows that it's Lazy Rob who's doing all the legwork in St. Paul. I mean, if anybody is doing any work, it's probably Lazy Rob. But Bryan's the consultant here. What was he doing if not filing all of the paperwork? What is he paying himself for if he's not even going to file the paperwork? For years. I mean, reporting periods come along and you got to do your reports. You have to do the darn reports. What was he doing paying himself out of the PAC for consulting? Oh, I know. He was probably calling up Rob and saying, Rob, it's my job to consult, so it's my consulted suggestion that that somebody ought to file this paperwork at some point. That's what we got to do. Somebody's got to file the paperwork. I've consulted you. I've collected my paycheck. Somebody ought to file it. I don't know who. I'm a consultant. I don't actually do anything. So just thought I'd let you know. And nobody decided to file any of the paperwork. Sherry says, why are these people being allowed to steal this money? Well, here's the deal, Sherry. This is the favored organization by politicians. If you ask politicians in St. Paul, who's a good gun rights group? I don't care if you're talking to Republicans or Democrats. If you ask who's the gun rights group that we should follow, they will say, join the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, join the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC. These people, they are true fighters for the Second Amendment, and we trust them here at the Capitol. No, these people are allowed to do this crap because politicians protect them because they protect politicians. That is how this works in Minnesota. That is why O'Brien says, and these are the same people giving MGR bad rap for not having paperwork in order. I'll tell you what, it was the IRS who didn't have their crap in order. We couldn't talk about it at the time, but the IRS biffed up our paperwork hardcore. And finally, and we'll put this on the website so everybody can look. There's our nonprofit status. The IRS finally fixed the garbage on their end. So we'll put this up on the website pretty quick. But the IRS biffed that up. We weren't getting paperwork from them. The Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus has been getting campaign filing demands for years and simply ignoring them. Why? Why? How much more money has been going to BrightPath LLC, who, I might add, their director of business development is State Representative Jim Nash. I would just stop for a second. Everybody wrap their heads around this. This political action committee, at least in the past, has funneled tremendous amounts of money into this BrightPath LLC, which is run by Bryan Strawser, who chairs this PAC, and they have sitting representatives, sitting elected officials on their board of that company. Is that legal? Are there any attorneys watching? Is that legal? How much money has State Representative Jim Nash been pocketing from gun owners through BrightPath LLC via this political action committee? Gun owners would like to know. We're going to get through this here. The Minnesota statute section, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is all pinned there, so you can print it off, read it yourself. Prohibits a political fund from accepting an unregistered association from giving a contribution that exceeds $200 from the unregistered association unless the contribution is accompanied by a written disclosure statement satisfying the requirements of Minnesota statute section blah. The disclosure statement must include all of the information required by Minnesota statute section blah, blah, blah for the association that made the contribution. The recipient must file the disclosure statement with its next report of receipts and expenditures. We're getting down to the last part, the finding of the facts. Don't leave, guys. This is important. Everybody needs to know what's happening here because these people have stood up there for all this time and said, we are the mighty gun rights organization. Politicians love us, and you should love us too. We've been getting screwed by these people the entire time, and the politicians have played in on this. The required disclosure statements for the MNGOSF were not filed with the Minnesota Gun Owner PAC's 2017 year-end and September 2018 reports. The disclosure statements subsequently provided to the board were deficient as they fell far short of providing the information required pursuant to Minnesota statute section 10A.20 subdivision 3. A political fund that accepts a contribution in excess of $200 from an unregistered association without the required disclosure statements is subject to a civil penalty up to 4 times the amount in excess of $200. An unregistered association that fails to provide the required disclosure statement with a contribution in excess of $200 is subject to a civil penalty of up to $1,000. Remember, guys, this is the group. If you go on their website, it says right there that we are the premier gun rights or premier gun rights. Or it's like buying a Rolls Royce that's got no tires and no engine. I'm sorry, but there's nothing premier about it. You guys don't even know how to do simple PAC filings, or you do because you did them before, but you didn't really like what popped up because we told gun owners about it. Didn't expect that truth to leak out, did you? Minnesota statute section yada yada requires a treasurer to file an amended report within 10 days of becoming aware of an inaccuracy within a report. Minnesota statute section yada yada requires a treasurer to provide within 10 days information requested by the board to reconcile discrepancies between reports filed with the board. So here we have it. Based on the above analysis, the board makes the following finding of the facts. This is a gun rights group, everybody. This is the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. These are the ones who pretend to be tremendous supporters of gun rights while they funnel money to their own businesses and endorse anti-gun lawmakers. Brian Moore says, Premier, haha, we are platinum. I like that. The platinum gun rights organization. I'll go with that. Bruce, you just listen up, my friend. Bruce isn't liking this very much. I'm going to read it. 1. The Minnesota Gun Owners IE Fund did not give a contribution to a political party unit in 2018 and did not have any other financial activity in 2017 or 2018. 2. Each of the 7 reports of receipts and expenditures filed by the Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee in July of 2019 were required to be filed as Minnesota Gun Owners PAC had financial activity in 2017 and during each reporting period in 2018. Those reports were due on January 31, April 16, June 14, July 30, September 25, and October 29 of 2018, and January 31, 2019, respectively. Minnesota Gun Owners PAC 2017 year-end report was filed on July 1, 2019, and the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC 6 reports covering 2018 were filed on July 8, 2019. We're going to go take a look at those. We'll report back a little bit later on that. So they were supposed to report in April, June, July, September, October, and January, and just decided not to. The Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund is an association not registered with the board. Number 4, MNGOSF gave cash contributions of $500 in 2017 and $300 in 2018 to the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC without providing disclosure statements that contained the information required by Minnesota Statute Section 10A.20 Subdivision 3. Number 5, the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC was required to provide disclosure statements for MNGOSF to the board pursuant to this code section. The disclosure statements for this organization provided by the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC treasurer in August of 2019 lacked the information required by the Minnesota Statute Section 10A.2 Subdivision 3. Number 6, the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC has not filed an amended 2017 year-end report or provided reconciliation information requested by the board that addresses the discrepancy between its report and the report of a party unit, which states that the party unit received a cash contribution of $500 from the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC in 2017. Based on the analysis and the finding of the facts, the board makes the following conclusions of law. It's unbelievable. I mean, filing 990s, that's difficult work. It's a pain in the butt. But we had all that information ready to rock and roll once the IRS had their crap figured out. This stuff is brain dead easy to file this stuff. Brain dead easy. So what was he doing? All right, here we go. Number 1, the Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee failed to timely file 7 reports. 7 reports of receipts and expenditures in violation of Minnesota Statute Section 10A.20. Those reports were filed in July of 2019. Because the required reports were not timely filed, the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC has incurred a total of $7,000 in late filing fees. $7,000 in late filing fees. By the time this is done, it's up to $7,800. Let me 2 seconds here, guys. Let's do a little simple math. $7,800 divided by $35 a year for a membership. So if you're a member of the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, bless your heart, 223 memberships are going to have to be spent to pay for this absolute catastrophe. $7,000 in late fees. I'd be fired if that, I mean, that's unbelievable. And to miss 7 reporting periods. So here we have in number 2, the Minnesota Gun Owners IE Fund did not give a contribution in 2018 in violation of Minnesota statute section yada yada, and was not required to file periodic reports covering 2017 or 2018 pursuant to Minnesota statute section 10A.2 subdivision 7A. Number 3, the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC violated Minnesota statute section 10A.27 subdivision 13 when it accepted 2 contributions in excess of $200 from an association not registered with the board without obtaining disclosure statements from the contributor that satisfied the requirements of Minnesota statute section 10A.20. Number 4, the Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund. How many funds do these people have? The Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund, which is not their political action committee, it's not their IE fund, it's not the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. So we have the Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund violated Minnesota statute section 10A.27 subdivision 13 when it gave 2 contributions in excess of $200 to a political fund without providing disclosure statements that satisfied the requirements of Minnesota statute section 10A.20. Based upon the above findings of fact and conclusions of law, the board issued the following order, and this is the last section. This is what the board has ordered the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC, Bryan Strawser and Rob Dorr. This is what they've ordered them to do. So the Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee is ordered to pay $7,000 in late filing fees for the reports of receipts and expenditures filed in July of 2019. Payment is due 30 days from the date of this order. Number 2, the Minnesota Gun Owners Political Action Committee is ordered to return $400 to the Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund, which is the amount of which the contribution from the Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund in 2017 and 2018 collectively exceeded the limit of $200 per calendar year that may be accepted from an unregistered association without obtaining a disclosure statement. So they're passing money between their PAC and their support fund and who knows what else. It's enough to give you a headache. Minnesota Gun Owners PAC must provide documentation to the board within 30 days of the date of this order showing that the funds have been deposited into the Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund bank account. Number 3, a civil penalty in the amount of $400 is assessed against the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC for violating Minnesota statute section yada yada. The civil penalty is 1 times the amount by which the contributions collectively exceeded the limit of $200 per calendar year that may be accepted from an unregistered association without obtaining a disclosure statement. Payment of the civil penalty is due 30 days from the date of this order. Number 4, a civil penalty in the amount of $400 is assessed against the Minnesota Gun Owners Support Fund for violating Minnesota statute section 10A.27 subdivision 13. The civil penalty is 1 times the amount by which the contributions collectively exceeded the limit of $200 per calendar year that may be given by an unregistered association without providing a disclosure statement. Payment of the civil penalty is due 30 days from the date of this order. 5, almost done, 5 and 6. Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus is ordered to file an amended 2017 year-end report of receipts and expenditures that includes the outgoing contribution of $500 given to a party unit, or provide reconciliation information explaining why no amendment is needed within 10 business days from the date of this order. And finally, number 6, the investigation of this matter is concluded and hereby made a part of the public records of the board pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 10A.022 Subdivision 5. Signed, Margaret Lepick, Chair of the Campaign Finance and Public Disclosure Board, dated October 2, 2019. So these guys aren't filing any of their paperwork. What they are filing isn't correct and has indiscrepancies all through it. And what happens? What happens? What happens? Oh, I know. Nothing. 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 You see, where's Paul Kozelka? Where's Kurt Dowd? Where's that weird little loser from Fox 9, Theo Keefe? Where are you guys? You were screaming from the rooftops about Minnesota gun rights not too long ago because of a mistake that the IRS made. Not us. Not us. It's all right here. We couldn't talk about it at the time. We were not allowed to discuss it at the time because they were still going through their stinking processes. But hey, they sent out these losers. They sent Keith Ellison after us because, hey, now's a good time to attack Minnesota gun rights. What about now? All this money missing. 3 years worth of unreported data. Paul Kozelka, where are you? Your silence is deafening. It's deafening. Because you sat there and attacked the members and supporters of Minnesota gun rights on your Facebook page. Half a dozen or more posts attacking Minnesota gun rights, even though our paperwork is perfect. It's perfect. It's exactly as it should be. It's the best paperwork. This is all going to be on our website soon. It was a mistake on their end, not ours. But they attack our membership because we do not protect anti-gun lawmakers. We do not protect anti-gun lawmakers. We fight for gun owners. We fight for gun owners and we tell the truth. But these yahoos, Bryan Strawser, Rob Dorr, you see, Lazy Rob and Paul Kozelka did a video at the end of this last legislative session attacking the members of Minnesota gun rights. Does everybody remember that? We did a video about that at the time. So Paul Kozelka, they call him Mr. Rogers, he'll stand there with a group who's totally out of compliance, whose money is not accounted for, whose the only time they have reported their funds, it shows it going into a business that they own that has sitting state representatives on the board. He'll stand right there side by side with those people and attack the members of Minnesota gun rights. But now when it's his favorite, when it's his boys, total silence. You see, Paul, Everybody knows you're a total sham. You're a great big liar. And Kurt Dowd and that square-headed dude, Josh Heinzman, and Nick Zerwas, and Pat Garofalo, and all these people who attacked us on their Facebook pages last legislative session, you're all liars. You don't speak the truth. You attack those who don't protect you. You attack those who stand up for the Second Amendment, and you protect goobers and losers like Lazy Rob and Fester from the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, because they are the favored ones. They're the favored ones. These guys endorse anti-gun lawmakers, and in exchange, those anti-gun lawmakers sing their praises. And that, folks, is our big problem. It's a huge problem. Because in this state, we have so few people who are truly fighting for gun owners. Not state lawmakers, not politicians, not the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. You know who's fighting for gun owners? Read the names in this comment section. Read them. Brian and Todd and Brady and Eric and Tony and Jeff and Mark and Bob, Sherry, James, Terry. You guys are the ones stopping gun control in the state of Minnesota. You're members and supporters of Minnesota gun rights. I'm fighting like hell because I believe our state is worth saving, that our rights are worth preserving. And when losers and maggots like these stand up there and sell their souls to politicians, they should be ashamed, and they should back out and walk away. Because here's the major danger. In 2019, we put tremendous pressure on Senate Republicans, on Paul Gazelka. We had to. That was the weak point. That was the choke point. We knew it was very likely that the gun control was going to pass the House. We fought like hell. We peeled off 5 votes. We needed 8. We needed 8 Democrats to vote against the gun control last year in the Minnesota House. We got 5. It passed, and we knew it was going to come down to Senate Republicans. If Senate Republicans signed off on gun control, it was a done deal. And I met with Paul Gazelka at the beginning of last legislative session, and he told me to my face, I'm not going to do anything that gun owners want me to do. So we put pressure on Paul Gazelka and Senate Republicans. And who was standing there the entire time to alleviate that pressure? Lazy Rob and Fester. The Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus did everything they could do to alleviate the pressure off of people like Paul Gazelka when they should have been piling on. If these people are successful, if Lazy Rob, if Bryan Strawser, if these people are successful in their endeavors, they will provide enough cover for Senate Republicans to pass gun control. That's the danger. That's why these people need to be called out. Because Senate Republicans should be terrified of gun owners, terrified into not passing gun control. Honestly, I mean, at this point, it's probably worth it. It's probably worth it. I might have to talk to the board, but it might be worth, I'll tell you what, Lazy Rob and Fester, it might be worth paying you guys. It might be worth it. It might be worth paying you. I'll tell you what, maybe we'll pay you $5,000 if you walk away and do the best thing you can possibly do for gun owners and never open your big yappers again when it comes to the Second Amendment. That's the best favor you could possibly do. It's probably a good investment. It's probably a good investment. If we could pay these guys to not be so stupid and to walk away from this and to stop protecting politicians, we might actually be successful at stopping gun control. Thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. We'll have to see, though. We'll have to see. You know, somebody just messaged me and said Bryan Strawser apparently is saying that he might end up paying this $7,800 fine. That's a huge amount of money. It's a lot bigger for them than for us, but you know, $7,800 is a lot of money. And he's saying, oh, well, he might end up paying that out of his own pocket. Well, I would hope so, Bryan, because gun owners didn't get a damn thing for all the money you paid yourself from the PAC in the past. So take some of that money that you paid yourself before and pay this off. That's what you should do. Actually, it would be very much up Bryan Strawser's alley. So I'll tell you what, this is probably what'll happen. He'll just cut a $7,800 check to himself for consulting fees, and then turn around and make a contribution to the PAC in order to pay off their debts. Yeah, you should pay it, Bryan. You should. I mean, did anybody see that? He shot a little video a little while ago. The guy's reading from a teleprompter. He's reading from a teleprompter, trying to explain what happened. I mean, he's literally sitting there going, my father and mother taught me how to be a respectable and upstanding individual, and so I'm going to tell it to you straight. I tell you what, if you were telling it to people straight, you wouldn't be reading from a dadgum PowerPoint. You wouldn't be reading from a PowerPoint. If the day ever comes when I'm sitting here reading from a script, you will know that I'm feeding you a line of bullshit. Pardon my French. That I'm feeding you a line. If I got to read it off a script to make sure I say just the right words and don't say just the wrong words, you'll know that I'm feeding you a line of crap. Paul Kozelka does the same thing. Well, he doesn't want to say anything he might regret, and he can't really tell the truth. So you got to type it all out, put it on a screen on the other side of your camera, and then you sit there and read off what's on the screen. That's what Strawser was just doing. Dude, you're a crook. That's what Eric Jamsa says. Eric says, crooks, all of them. Ben says, and he had no audio. Yeah. Well, maybe they had to sell their microphone to help pay off the stupid tax. Could be. Sherry says he should pay out of his pocket. He should be held accountable. Here's the deal, guys. These people aren't fighting for gun owners. They're not fighting for you and me. They are fighting for their seat at the table. They want a seat at the table of power. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. These guys have attacked tremendous gun owners on Facebook just for being Christian. Just for being Christian. They attack women, Christian women, just for being Christian. If you oppose open borders, if you support building the wall, they've attacked gun owners and called them bigots, closed-minded bigots. If you don't want a wide open wall, a wide open border, if you don't want all these people flown over here, then you must be a bigot. They are liberal, liberal, liberal in every sense of the word. They're not Second Amendment supporters. Bryan says the truth requires no script. 100% true. It requires no script. Yet there he is reading from a script. Paul Gazelka curtained out. If any lawmaker who attacks Minnesota gun rights would like to stand up and try to act even remotely fair, now's the time. You are the worst lawmakers in American history. In history, we'll remember you for that, and so will we. So will we. So guys, I hope you're not donating money to the Minnesota Gun Owners PAC. I hope you're not donating money to the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, because that money is going to pay off their stupid tax. That money is going to endorse anti-gun lawmakers like Scott Jensen, Skoe, Lyle Koenen, and others. These people are con artists. They are not no compromise. And like I said in my previous video, we're being told by multiple state lawmakers that Rob Dorr is currently helping Paul Gazelka draft a good red flag bill. These people should be run out of our state. They should be run out of our Minnesota. We have no place for them here. Gun owners and gun rights deserve a total and complete, no holds barred defense of our gun rights. Anybody who tells you that politics is fun, it should be nice. It should be full of hugs and puppies and rainbows and unicorns, where the Republicans and the Democrats and everybody gets along. Anybody who thinks that that's how politics works is fooling themselves. Politics, if you want to preserve freedom, is dirty, nasty, mean, unpleasant business, because politics is the struggle for power. Who has the power? Is it politicians or is it the people? We're fighting for the people. Those people, Lazy Rob and Fester with the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, are fighting for their seat at the table. They want to be powerful. They want to be liked. They want selfies with lawmakers. They want to be power brokers. Instead, they've got their heads wedged so far up Paul Gazelka's backside they can't even breathe. Maybe if they hadn't been doing that, they could have filed their paperwork and shown gun owners where the money was going. Tony says it's hard to find true patriots in politics. You're darn right. It's especially hard in Minnesota. It's especially hard in Minnesota. There's patriots in other states, for sure. Great men and women who we have the pleasure of working with at the American Firearms Coalition and with the state groups that we're associated with. Tremendous men and women in office, like Candace Keller in Ohio, Ron Hood, great people. We don't have those in Minnesota. We don't have them in Minnesota. And we're not going to have them if people like this continue to betray gun owners. Thank you, Sherry. Sherry's asking for a donate link. Thank you, Sherry. It's right here. I'll pin it for you. Here's one for you guys over here. I'll drop it right here in the comments section, guys. If you want to help, if you want to make a contribution, help here. We'd love to have you on board. There's one group in this state that's holding the line for gun owners, that's fighting, that's willing to be hated, that's willing to be hated in order to win our freedom, and that is Minnesota Gun Rights. All these other groups continue to betray. We never have. We never will. I mean, my goodness, I have to say, I mean, I could shoot a video. I might have to shoot another one. Their list, it just goes on and on. The people they've supported, the bad politicians they've supported, the money they're siphoning out into their own organizations, into their own businesses, the way they've protected anti-gun lawmakers, the way they've attacked the members of Minnesota gun rights, the way they've alleviated the pressure, the way they've done the deals, the way they've helped craft gun control. What more do gun owners in Minnesota need to hear? Walk away. If I should hashtag it, I'll do that. Hashtag walk away. For all the younger crowd. Because if these people are allowed to continue to exist and breathe this political air, they will continue to stab gun owners in the back. They will continue to betray the Second Amendment. They will continue to protect anti-gun lawmakers. And Paul Gazelka, you're a big fat liar. You got no conscience. You don't speak the truth. You attack our members. You attacked Brady and Brian and Tony. You attacked all these people watching this video right now over and over last legislative session, spreading lies, sending your fake news reporters to do hit pieces on Minnesota gun rights, all to try to tank this organization to protect your worthless backside. And now when your favorite group is caught up in real scandal, real problems, real major issues, totally silent. You're a fraud. You're a fraud, Gazelka and Kurt Dowd. It's unbelievable. But guys, we're going to continue holding their feet to the fire. We're going to continue to put pressure on these lawmakers, and we're going to call them out. We're going to call them out for it. And to some people, it's not very popular. Some gun owners sit there and go, this infighting is bad. Look, nobody looks at Minnesota gun rights and Moms Demand Action and says, oh, this is infighting. We can't have MGR fighting with Moms Demand Action. No, they're totally opposed. They're totally opposed. Okay? They're enemies of freedom. They're not on the same page fighting each other. It's the same with Minnesota gun rights and the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. We're not two pro-gun organizations who are fighting amongst each other. We're starkly opposed. We're starkly opposed to their betrayals. This is not infighting. This is an organization that pretends to be pro-gun, that supports bad people, that has continued to betray and betray and betray and betray against an organization of patriots. Of patriots. And that's how it is. That's how it's going to continue to be. Until these people, until they straighten out, and I don't know if they ever will, it's a sickness in their souls. In their souls. You see, because Paul Gazelka could call me up tomorrow and say, Ben, GOP's got $5 million with your name on it. Take that $5 million, move wherever the heck you like, shut down Minnesota gun rights, and we'll call it good. Look, dude, I can't sell who I am. I can't sell my soul, because then I have nothing. I am nothing. Not for sale. Some of these people are rotten in their very souls. And those people should not be trusted. They cannot be trusted. They are not leaders. They're not champions of freedom. They're rotten. So make your choices, folks. I love you. I love you. I can't thank you enough for all of your support, for all of your help, for your attention, for the phone calls, the emails, the contributions. You guys are the total and complete heart and soul of the gun rights fight in Minnesota. And these dubes love to walk around and go, "We are the premier gun rights organization. We are premier. We're the premier gun rights." You guys are a laughing stock. You're an inch thick and a mile wide. You have no depth. You're out of your depth. You're out of your reach. You guys are jokers. You're jokers. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But if these people are allowed to continue in this space, it'll hurt our gun rights cause. It'll continue to protect anti-gun lawmakers. For heaven's sake, don't go to their endorsements page to find out who to vote for in 2020. What a disaster that would be. They'll have you voting for Democrats who support universal gun registration because that's how their grading works. Shame on them. Back out. Back down. Shut up. Get out of this business entirely. Because fighting for gun rights requires guts, and it requires conviction. And it requires the ability to not whiffle and waffle all over the place, changing from day to day what you believe, what you think, what you're telling people. No, we don't read from teleprompters. I mean, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Dave Peterson says, "I choose freedom." Man, you're fantastic, Dave. Brady says, "I hope you're all sharing this video. I love it." Let's see here. Tony says, "In my opinion, infighting is good. The truth comes out." Absolutely. Absolutely it does. A guy once told me not too long ago, God bless him, he's a great guy, but he goes, competition is good. It makes everybody try harder. So he was talking, he's basically saying, well, it's good that Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus is there, and it's good that Minnesota gun rights is there, because competition is good, and it makes everybody try harder. No. They're not competition, they are opposition. They're opposition to our gun rights. They're opposition to freedom. They're opposite us. We're not side by side competing for space. They are on the opposite side of this agenda entirely. And I know Rob gets up there and he likes to lisp his way through his videos and he likes to yell about certain people, and he likes to talk bad about Democrats. But at the end of the day, you guys protect anti-gun lawmakers. You endorse bad people. You protect bad politicians. You attack gun owners on your Facebook pages, online, all over the place. You guys are cons. Cons of the highest order. They should be run out of our Minnesota, at least run out of politics. Needs to happen. Wilhelmine says the caucus is just bootlicking pets of the left. It's true. And gun owners need to know who's on their side and who's not. Most, if not all, Republican lawmakers in Minnesota are weak, feckless people who will not stand up for the Second Amendment when we need them the most. They need to be called out. They need to have pressure put on them by gun owners. And that's what the members of Minnesota Gun Rights do. They don't need to be protected. They don't need to be coddled. They don't need the pressure alleviated. They need so much pressure they feel they're going to break. That's how we win our freedom. That's how we preserve our Second Amendment. Anything else anything else, if we do politics the way they do it, we'll wake up one day and go, what the hell happened? Our gun rights are gone. What happened? Todd says Rob looks like a total soy boy lefty. How the hell did he get his position? Well, I mean, that's a good question. But I mean, the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus was started by Fester, by Bryan Strawser, and they don't have much of an organization, really. I mean, like I said, they're an inch deep and a mile wide. They don't have the numbers, they don't have the resources, they don't have the members, they don't have the pull in St. Paul. They certainly can't put the pressure on lawmakers. So, I mean, it's not hard to be a kid in a suit walking around the Capitol all day, and that's what Rob really does during legislative session. I mean, he tries to do these videos and like act, here's what I did today. It's like you're fetching coffee and fluffing pillows, man. So it's not hard to get his position because they don't have a lot of members, they don't have a lot of resources, but what they do have is enough of a shell organization. They got enough of a little Trojan horse there, nothing inside, just kind of a skeleton. They got enough of that lawmakers in St. Paul can point at them and go, they're the good guys. They are Second Amendment champions. That is the premier gun rights organization in the state of Minnesota. And so that is the purpose they serve. So as long as Rob is willing to stand there and do as he's told, as long as Bryan is, I don't know what he's doing. Again, it's like, if you're not doing the paperwork, what are you doing, Bryan? I mean, they don't have a full-time office. They don't even have an office that you can go to. They don't have, I mean, so it's really kind of a, I don't know. It's a few kids really playing at politics, but their power comes from the politicians, and that's the danger. That's why we have to talk about this, because the politicians, if they feel like they're protected enough by that organization, they'll feel safe to vote for gun control, because they'll go, yeah, Minnesota gun rights will come after us for voting for this, but the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus is there, and they'll fight on our behalf and try to stop Minnesota gun rights from calling us out or causing too much trouble at election time. So that's really the only purpose that they serve, and it's pathetic. It's really, I mean, it's tragic. It's tragic because for me, I get the huge pleasure, a huge pleasure and honor to fight with patriots, real, fantastic men and women who I've gotten to know simply by being engaged in this fight. And it has been my life's honor to do this for the years that I have, and I intend to keep on this fight for many, many, many years to come. So for me, it's my highest honor. Every time I meet one of you guys, I love you. It's really sad that, that on the other side, you have people like Rob who put on this front, who put up this little skeleton of an organization. And so he puts on the persona of being patriotic, and he stands up there and tries to use all this jargon. But I know it's not fulfilling. It shouldn't be fulfilling. Because there's nothing fulfilling about having no soul. Fighting with patriots, that's fulfilling. I love it. I love it. Guys, I'll let you go. I know the Twins are playing right now, so we're going to go rock and roll with the Twins. Guys, do me a favor, share this video. Please share it with your family and your friends. Put it out there so people know. Wherever the gun rights conversation is taking place, wherever people are talking about the Second Amendment in Minnesota, share this video. Keep the link handy. Make sure your friends see it. Make sure people in the gun forums are seeing it. It's important. It's very important that everybody know the truth about what's happening in Minnesota. Informed gun owners are gun owners who win. And that's what we're trying to do here, is make sure everybody knows what's what. So, guys, as Gary says, share and blow the enemies to high hell. I love you guys. Have a fantastic night. I'll have more updates for you tomorrow and over the next couple of days. God bless you. God bless Minnesota. Never apologize for being a patriot. Never apologize for standing up for your freedom. Never apologize for saying yes, making your yes, yes, and your no be no, for telling the truth. Never apologize for being honest, even when you're speaking an uncomfortable truth. That is what they're always trying to shove down our throats. That is PC culture. That is garbage. That is lies. At Minnesota Gun Owners, we're not afraid to speak the truth. We are never afraid to put politicians on red alert, because we're coming for them at election time if they stab us in the back. Last thing, Todd says, are you going to the Trump rally? Yes. Yes, I am. I will be there at the Trump rally. It's unfortunate because there'll be a lot of Republicans there who got no place standing up there with President Trump because they hate him and they're cowards, which is, you know, kind of the polar opposite of President Trump. So, guys, thank you again. Have a great night. I'll be back later. Don't believe the lying, scamming losers who inhabit our state capital in St. Paul, who are the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. Stand your ground, stand up for what you believe in, and carry on, guys. Have a good night. We'll talk soon.